Sydney. Thanks for being here this evening. 7 minutes is short, and there's a lot of work we do, and I feel in the conversation we can explore some of the more detailed and nuanced issues there. So I really just want to give you a broad sense of dancing in the streets and what we do, and then focus on one specific project as an example, if you like, of both the issues that are very prevalent now that we need to be addressing, and some of the ways we're looking to address them, which will also involve all of you and all of us too, I hope. So Dancing in the Streets is based in the Bronx now. It was set up in the 80s. It used to organize site-specific events in public spaces all over the city. But in 2011 moved to the Bronx in order to really focus on the community in the Bronx, in the South Bronx actually. And of course what we now do are three really distinctive programs that all really interweave and mesh together. The first one is what I call resident artists. It's flipping the artist residency idea, but literally about enabling artists to work and live within communities in which they are working, daily, weekly, monthly, and setting them up as long-term initiatives. So there's a real relationship between the communities where they live and the artistic work and the creative practice work that they're developing within that community. Second thing we're doing is looking at how we can support the development of artists who need a whole range of skills in order to do that kind of work beyond the dance skills or the movement skills that they have. Some of the things that have already been talked about here, but this relationship between leadership and empathy and the ways in which you encourage and work and connect with community is an important part of the way in which an artist can work in the community context. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Am I too loud? Okay.
Nope.
Just shout if I'm too loud. And a lot of those skills are really not covered in regular dance programs, not only in the US, not only in the city, but across the country. So we're looking at how we can create training programs to do that, and it's particularly focused on artists who are already living and working in the Bronx. And the third part really is what I would broadly say, and which I want to talk about a little bit, is this public advocacy for hip-hop. We're doing a lot of work with a specific group of dancers who are primarily performing in the subway dancers, and we have a project called It's Showtime NYC, which of course is finding ways in which we can work with those dancers to create alternative and legal performance opportunities, because a lot of it's illegal to dance in the subway, and last year 300 dancers were arrested for dancing in subway cars. And we've set up a program called It's Showtime, which was resourced initially from the mayor's office, because the mayor was also concerned that this form of artistic expression, which is actually inherent to New York City, was being criminalized. And of course was impacting the lives of a lot of people who were dancing, most of them young black males. So we've set up a program which we're trying to find ways in which we can create legal performance opportunities, but more than that, it's very much focused on personal and individual development. So connecting their incredible passion for dance and the performative skills that they have to connect them to the broader dance world. And many of you here from the dance world know that in the city is still not a very big world, but there are a lot of opportunities in terms of residencies, training programs, commissions, even presentations and performance for dance, which does not at all engage with the hip-hop community. And you could ask, why is that? Why is hip-hop not seen to be a really important part of 20th century dance culture, which I believe it is. It was born in the Bronx. It emerged from the kind of collision of cultures within the context of the Bronx, and yet it's still seen to be incredibly marginal to mainstream dance activity. So part of what we're doing is looking at how we develop the dancers and work with them in terms of their skills and connecting them to the possibilities of working in dance, not just performing, but in terms of the technical support, administration, production. A lot of them are engaged to work with the group and to develop those skills within the context of It's Showtime. but also on the other hand working with institutions who are there to support and develop dance and to enable them to start to engage with hip-hop and the hip-hop community. And I find it very bizarre that if you look at all the dance programs, not just in New York City, but across the country, most contemporary dance, as you know, is taught within the university system. I think there are 2 programs now that include hip-hop as part of their BFA or MFA programs. That's in the whole country. In Europe, there are already schools for hip-hop. It's an incredibly well-supported part of the dance culture. It's, hip-hop's become a huge part of you waving a sign? No.
Not quite. Now I am, one more.
It's part of a huge multi-billion music industry that is global, and yet here, the home for hip-hop is, the practice is incredibly marginal. And if you imagine working in the Bronx and as an artist in the Bronx, where there is an extraordinary, for the city, an extraordinary concentration of poverty in that borough. A third of the population are living below the poverty line in the Bronx. 40% of New York's public housing is concentrated in the Bronx. There's an extraordinary low level of economic activity, which of course finds it very hard to sustain and support artists and their practice. So how do we find ways in which we can connect those artists, support them, develop their skills, and connect them to the dance world, not only in the city, but then across the country is an important part of what we're doing. And I think it's an important part of a movement towards really achieving a genuine sense of cultural equity, where you have an incredible 20th century art form born in the city, which is still ignored and marginalized by many of the institutions here in this very city. So that's part of that's why I want to recruit you all in the process, not only of talking to the institutions that you're a part of, but looking at how those connections can be built, identifying those artists and working with us to really evolve what I see as one of the most powerful expressive forms of dance that we've given birth to in the 20th century.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Perfect.